Fran Lab. And we start out with the obits. And number one, Bob Weir. Yeah, Bob Weir. Kind of unexpected. They didn't really announce why or where, but yeah, Bob Weir. Perpetual. Let's say America's sideman. It was weird. I mean, yes, he fronted the Dead sometimes when Jerry Garcia was not, doing the leads. But he was really known as like the rhythm guitar player, the side guy. He had lots of side projects over the years, but even like with his side projects, he never wanted to put himself out front. It wasn't like when the Grateful Dead weren't the Grateful Dead that he had like the Bob Weir band, like he was Jay Giles. He never wanted to do it like that. He always saw music as a collaboration, and he always wanted to be a part of a band. He never wanted to really be the front guy, even when he was being the front guy. So, Bob Weir's music was always about the collaboration. It says here, as the story is told, Bob Weir was 16 years old and wandering around Palo Alto, California on New Year's Eve, 1963, when he heard a banjo playing, followed the sound to a music store where Jerry Garcia, 5 years his elder, was giving lessons in a music shop. And he says, quote, "We sat down and started jamming and had a great old rave," Mr. Weir later recalled. "I had my guitar with me and we played a little and decided to start a jug band." Mother McCree's Uptown Jug Champions was the earliest iteration of what would eventually become the Grateful Dead, yes. He said later on, Bob Weir said, quote, "I'll say this, I look forward to dying. I tend to think of death as the last and best reward for a life well lived. That's it." He went on to say, "I still got a lot on my plate, and I won't be ready to go for a while." That was 2025. We're in that decade where the remaining artists that we love from the 60s and 70s they're all passing away. It's going to be a sad decade for those in my generation. Eric von Däniken, 90, wrote, he wrote Chariots of the Gods and many other books. Yeah, controversial guy, but, say what you will about Eric von Däniken. Say what you will. But, I mean, would we really have the 1970s television shows without him? In Search Of. How many of you used to just wait the whole week for In Search Of? That really spooky introduction with the Moog music and the grainy pictures of the Loch Ness Monster and that grainy footage of Bigfoot walking in Leonard Nimoy's voice. How many of you waited for In Search Of, and as children you just ogled the television set every week, like wondering at In Search Of? I mean, yes, he opened the door for people thinking about ufology and extraterrestrials and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, he had some outlandish, completely unprovable theories about things. He was writing science fiction, really. But he got a conversation going. I mean, we got to give him credit for that. There really is, no taking any of that seriously, even thinking about such things without his books. So, 90 years old. I still pretty much hold to the idea that the pyramids are made out of concrete and that humans were quite capable of building them on their own without any help. They had lots of time and lots of brain power to think about it. But, humans are pretty resourceful. We really don't need too much help. We can come up with solid-state electronics and move big slabs of stone and everything all on our own. We really don't need extraterrestrial help to do any of that, but, okay, yeah. Here's one. Stuart Chaffee, 87, host of TV's Computer Chronicles. And if you're watching my channel, you probably saw the Computer Chronicles. It was launched in the Bay Area in 1983, Computer Chronicles, way ahead of its time. He died of the flu. So those of you who think that I ain't getting no flu vaccine, he died of the flu, yes. thousands, tens of thousands, I think actually hundreds of thousands of people still die of the flu every year. Don't take it seriously at your own peril. But okay, yeah, so he launched Computer Chronicles while working as a station manager of KCSM-TV. Now it's KPJK, PBS affiliate in San Mateo. When he noticed a trend at the time, people had just started buying Apple IIs and Commodore 64s. He told Newhouse News Service in 1995, quote, "There were no computer stores, there were no computer magazines. People needed help, and they needed software. So the users group was born, a bunch of people getting together on, say, Thursday nights and talking about their computers. We thought, well, why not form our own users group and put it on TV? Yeah. The show ran for 19 seasons through 2002 with 433 episodes. Computer Chronicles, 87, a pretty good run, 87, pretty good run. And yeah, Scott Adams also died, Dilbert. Very controversial figure. There isn't anyone of my generation that didn't read Dilbert. I mean, there've been lots of obituaries written about Scott Adams, you know, Dilbert, and also a lot of op-eds. You know, that when his personal politics just came out, it was like, you know, he was one of those people that was, he was MAGA all along. He was MAGA before there was a MAGA, basically. And there were some interesting opinion pieces that kind of delved into it, the psychology, thinking, well, you know, what made the Dilbert character and that strip so identifiable in the 80s was that it had an undercurrent of animosity, resentment, and even to go so far as to say like bile that ended up being like the MAGA movement. So it's like when that kind of you know, feeling metastasizes into something political. Everything that I read about Scott Adams, he was like a guy who had a lot of personal issues. He definitely had a lot of demons, and so I think he had a lot to work out, and I don't think he worked them out. He was just one of those people that just stuck to his guns, and rather than evolving or changing himself, just sort of projected his own animosities about the world not being the way that he wanted it to be onto the world through his work. Oh well. Controversial to the end. All right, Amos Poe. Amos Poe died. New wave filmmaker of New York in the 70s. There he is right there with awesome glasses and what looks like a standard 8 film camera. Linked in with, you know, all the CBGB characters. You know, Blank Generation was his film, and yeah, you can see him right there. I mean, that's him back in the day. Yeah, I mean, the image says everything. I mean, that's yeah, definitely somebody you wanted to hang out with. It's a very long obituary. You can Google his work, but yeah, all about the documenting the culture on the Bowery and his films like The Foreigner. Yeah, Rolling Stone magazine declared The Blank Generation one of the 25 greatest punk rock movies of all time. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, look it up. You know, an old cinema legend, Amos Poe. Also, in the New York scene, kind of overlapping Amos Poe, Walter Steading. Yeah, Walter Steading. One-man band behind the portraitist, and there you see him there with his protege, Andy Warhol. And Warhol represented him. He was actually the last artist to like be sponsored by Warhol after the Velvet Underground and everything. He was a very amazing portraitist. You can see there some of his portraits there of Andy Warhol and Basquiat and one of the pooches there. But he was a portrait artist and a self-taught musician and violinist who had kind of mixed reviews as far as like his music went. He began performing at various happenings and galleries around New York City using a violin to make weird keening and wheezing sounds while wearing a biofeedback device strapped to his belt and supporting a pair of flashing goggles that he said were synced with his brainwaves. Total showman, yes. Warhol was so charmed by his oddball act they decided to manage him. Yeah. He worked hard, said Mr. Fremont, who did most of the work managing Mr. Seating, but he didn't get any traction. So yeah, he's kind of was an acquired taste. But he was the band leader in the 70s and 80s cable access show TV Party. Featured a cast of O'Brien's friends, including Jean-Michel Basquiat, yes, and Fat Five Freddy, and Chris Stein, Debbie Harry, yes. I mean, if you were in New York in the 70s and 80s, which I was not, but I've seen recorded episodes of TV Party. But yeah, another, again, you know, a life well lived. Definitely did it all. But that's it for the obits. That's it for this week. That's it. That's it. It's time for that's where I work. In the lab. Go berserk. In my lab. That's where I work.